10 things I really enjoyed about Veilguard. Very specific about the kind of games that I like, and it's mainly RPG or fighting games. I either want to like kick some ass on Tekken, or I want to be a mage with some dragons.
Diva is a female version of a hustler.
So I've loved Dragonage from Dragonage Origins, Dragonage 2, Dragonage Inquisition, and Dragonage the Veilguard. But even within my friendship groups, it didn't get the same acclaim and praise that I would be expecting from a Dragonage game. It's a bit of escapism, do you know what I mean? And obviously with the way the world is right now as well, give me a couple dragons any day.
Has he met Beehive?
Revered mother's knickers, we always say that's what it smells like.
I beg your pardon.
It was actually quite beautiful. It was quite a beautiful love story. I made a very haphazard decision when like we were deciding who was going to support who during like the final battle, and I put him somewhere that I thought he would be able to handle, and basically he died. yes people, what's going in? So this is probably a little bit of a different type of reaction because this is actually a gaming reaction, and I didn't actually plan to do this, but I am. I mean, if you've come to my channel, then you know already that I love my music, I love my TV shows, I love my movies, I love my anime. Like, I like to be entertain me. I like to be entertained, and one of the things I absolutely love, which I haven't been able to do really because I've been so busy with the recording and all that kind of stuff, is gaming. Like, I absolutely love playing on my PS, but like I'm not probably like every other gamer out there that probably loves a bit of everything. Like, I'm very specific about the kind of games that I like, and it's mainly RPG or fighting games. Those are kind of really the two things. Like, I either want to like kick some ass on Tekken, or on Soul Calibur, or on Street Fighter,
Miss King Kong in my kingdom with my Tim's on.
or Mortal Kombat. Or I want to be a mage with some dragons.
Diva is a female version of a hustler.
Like, it's there is no middle ground really. Like, I love a good RPG, and I'm a huge fan of Dragonage. Like, Dragonage I just think is brilliant. Yeah, so I've loved Dragonage from Dragonage Origins, Dragonage 2, Dragonage Inquisition, and Dragonage the Veilguard. So Origins was 2009, 2 was 2011, Inquisition was 2014, and we had to wait a full 10 years before getting the Veilguard. And the main reason I'm making this year is because I'm very much aware, notwithstanding that like I think there's been a lot of public bashing about this game, but even within my friendship groups, like, I know that it didn't get the same acclaim and praise that I would be expecting from a Dragonage game. Like, I mean I love everything from like the Chancery to the Grey Wardens, like the Tevinter mages, like Ferelden, like all of the kind of inter politics that happens with the game, like, and the storytelling. I think is just really, I just love the game. And like I said, I love an RPG where I can be back in them old school times where there's just potions and dwarves and staffs and lightning and all that kind of stuff. I just think is I just it's a bit of escapism, do you know what I mean? And obviously with the way the world is right now as well, like, give me a couple dragons any day.
Trump is talking about investigating Beyonce. Has he met Beehive?
So I just wanted to kind of give my 2 penny about it because I feel as though that there's been a lot said. So I kind of feel as though that it was a flop. But let's have a look. Dragonage. So I've decided in, was Dragonage Veilguard a flop? Yes, Dragonage the Veilguard has been deemed a commercial failure by its publisher. EA. The game reportedly sold only 1.5 million copies, which is significantly below the projected 3 million. This underperformance has led to discussions about the future of the Dragon Age franchise and BioWare, the studio behind the game. Wow, I didn't realize it was such a big reasons for the flop. Lower than expected sales, so they expected to get 3 million and only achieved 1.5. Lack of shared world features. EA's CEO cited a lack of shared world features as a contributing factor to the game's failure to reach a broader audience. Shared world features. So you couldn't go online with like friends and stuff. Okay, competitive market. The gaming market is highly competitive, and Dragon Age Veilguard may not have resonated with enough players. Budget and expectations. The game had a large budget, and its sales performance raises concerns about its profitability. Consequences. Doubts about the future of Dragon Age. The underperformance has led to questions about whether the franchise can recover. Concerns about BioWare's future. BioWare has faced challenges in recent years, and the failure of the Veilguard further jeopardizes the studio's future. Discussions about the games industry. The situation with Dragon Age The Veilguard has sparked broad discussions about success metrics in the gaming industry and the challenges faced by large studios and franchises. I mean, I didn't realize that this was such a huge flop. I didn't know that. As I said, I know that with like my friends and stuff, they weren't necessarily like one of my friends. He didn't mind it, but he didn't love it. And then one of my other friends didn't finish it at all. In fact, I don't even know if he even bought it in the end because, like, I know there was a lot of discussion about the fact that there was a non-binary conversation within the game and stuff, and I know a lot of people was like, there's no place in, if I'm careering down a cliff with a shield on one hand and a big hammer in the other hand, like, and my mage is casting frost spells behind me, I don't want to be talking about binary, non-binary, like this is like those kind of social issues are not meant to be in a game like this. That's what I feel some of the conversations have been. And I obviously was like, especially as a gay person, I was like, well, for me, like, any kind of inclusion is great. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, let's see how much it impacts the game. But yeah, that's interesting to see just how much it has been a flop. So that's quite telling. Wow. That the future of the franchise and future of the studio are in jeopardy. That's mad. Okay, so I'm gonna go for like my top 10 things that I liked about this game because I really enjoyed it. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I was kind of preparing myself not to because of everything I'd heard, and the fact that like so many people weren't happy with it. But in the back of my head, I also was like, but I love Dragon Age, and I feel as though that like whatever they're gonna come out with, I'm probably going to enjoy it, especially because we've waited so long. Like, I've replayed Inquisition so many times in the last 10 years just because I just love the game. I think the game is awesome. Again, the story, everything. Anyway, so 10 things I really, really enjoyed about Veilguard. Number 10, I really liked. So I've labeled this as the revered mother's knickers. The revered mother's knickers. I mean, just the fact that that title is in this game at all. Like, so at some point, Tosh is into Harding and she's trying to impress her, and she gets like a wheel of cheese, and she's really excited to get the cheese, but she's not sure whether Harding's gonna love it or not. And Harding's like, oh my god, it's amazing, you got the knickers. And she's like, what? She's like, oh, like the revered mother's knickers, we always say that's what it smells like.
I beg your pardon.
When I say I was floored, it was already a little bit odd to me that just seeing Tosh, who's this big blue canary rabbany dragon breathing them, who is into little but Talawa. Yeah, she's very, very strong because she's part Titan, or she's got Titan memories or Titan powers or whatever, but she's still very, very tiny. So you got this big blue being with this little being, and she's like, oh, so you guys are in, all right, that's safe, cool, all right then. So then for her then to be like, oh, the present you bought me smells like the Reverend Mother's knickers, like, there's so many questions with that, like, why her knickers, like, why? It just floored me. I just wasn't expecting it, and I tie that in, like, so for me that, like, it kind of ties into like just some of the you know, the language used. There's a lot of like swearing in the game, and it's quite emotional as well. Like it's quite an emotional, like the text in between the dialogue and stuff. It I don't know. It just really drew me in terms of like what they were talking about throughout the whole game, and I just thought like even when they were like super duper emotional moments and stuff, they felt emotional. So I just liked the fact that they were quite. It felt quite authentic. I don't know. Like I liked the language that was in there, and like I said, that line about the knickers just threw me. So yeah, that's number 10. Number 9 is the actual gameplay. Now, I don't know what everyone else's viewpoints on the gameplay were. I'm guessing people didn't like it, but I don't know. But for me, like one thing I liked about like how the Dragon Age games have progressed is that there's more kind of combat that you get to do as your character.
Okay, first up, the Mage, which has an entirely new playstyle that incentivizes you to flow back and forth between distance and close-range combat. The majority of its active abilities are elementally imbued and often deal area of effect damage.
And I noticed it obviously in Inquisition, but they've even like doubled down on it more in this one. So you've still got all of your like your moves. You can actually select what move you want to do and what ability you're going to make. But in terms of the actual like striking combat that you can do, like as a mage anyway, like I've already played as a mage, I really liked the options that you had when it came to the square button, and kind of your light attacks and stuff, and then your heavy attacks with triangle, and the fact that you can actually switch between that and your kind of like orb and your handheld like sword dagger. I just thought it was really cool, and it was so you could do them so smoothly, so subtle. Like it was so subtle and so swift, and it felt agile that you could swap between your long range kind of missiles and stuff with your staff, and then if you want close combat melee stuff, you could really just switch in between really easily. And in fact, not just that, like actually doing your abilities as well with the ability wheel was also, I thought, really easy. And I liked how they also had the option where you could bring in the runes as well, so you can get this like little burst of something for like 15 seconds, whatever. And even introducing that was really easy. I don't know. I just thought the mechanics of it, and I think some people didn't like that. I think from what I've heard, but I really liked that. I thought the mechanics of it was great, and in the gameplay as well, because I find that any game after a while is going to get a little bit monotonous in terms of what the moves are, because the moves are what the moves are. Like you can only eventually get to a point where there's only so much that you're doing in order, because that's the game. Do you know what I mean? Even though I loved Arkham Asylum and Arkham Knight as well, and all the different things that Batman could do, eventually when you're doing like all the different side quests and stuff, that is going to get monotonous. Do you know what I mean? Because you are doing the same thing within the game. So that doesn't bother me so much, because if you play a game like Final Fantasy and stuff, yeah, but you thought about the grinding and the long game, like you can kind of get past that, as long as the moves that you're making are still like, well, for me at least anyway, are still entertaining to watch. Like, and there were still kind of moves that were happening in between the team members, that I wasn't quite sure which moves, what was going to happen, like who did have what move and stuff. So for me, I can't speak for anyone else, but for me, I liked the gameplay, the puzzles. Like, do you know what I mean? They were challenging enough with that being like ridiculous, but not so incredibly basic that you're like, this is like pulling teeth. But again, like any game like this where it's like, oh, you must go to the farmer to go and pull the corn, and then once you pull the corn, oh, we can't do that because the bag needs to be brought down by the Minrathis village. You can't do it. I mean, like, you're gonna get them kind of those kind of quests in that kind of game anyway. Do you know what I mean? So you either make your piece of that or you don't. But for me, I thought the gameplay was sick. For 8, the dynamics of the relationships I thought were really awesome in terms of like the love element. Like, because I think in previous iterations of Dragon Age, like you've had options of people potentially that you could like start some kind of romance with, but I felt like there was literally no limits in this game as to who you might decide you wanted to have a love interest with. So I had like a female mage, and I had her initially have something with Lucanis. Yeah, Lucanis de la Morte, the demon of Orantium. Yeah, so initially I had her have a relationship with him. I mean, you know, Italian stallion. But then he, because of the decision you make about Treviso or Minrathus, like obviously he then becomes kind of locked up and stuff. And my love interest then became Davrin, which was actually quite beautiful. It was quite a beautiful love story. But how they did that, I thought was just really cool because it. I don't know. By the end of it, like, so basically, by the end of my journey, anyway, like I made a very like haphazard decision when like we were deciding who was going to support who during like the final battle, and I put him somewhere that I thought he would be able to handle, and basically he died. And I was fully up. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. So I had to reload, and I'm sorry. It's a bit like, you know, when you get them books when you were little, and you can like get to the end of that chapter, and it tells you depending whether you go down the alleyway or you run back for help, depending on what you do, and then you run down the alleyway, and it's like, oh, the murderer was there, it kills you, and it's over. It's like, no, I didn't really pick that. So let's China. That just happened. So I was like, right, that didn't happen. And I didn't realize just how much that connection had already. I was like, no, I'm not having it. So I was like, that's really cool that you've managed to create something that has got me to care enough that I'm upset that he died. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like, ah. So I was like, that's really cool. And like I said, the fact that there are so many options of people that you can fall in love with, regardless of their species, regardless of their gender. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you want to fall in love with them, you can. So that was really awesome. Number 7, put this number. I mean, this probably could be higher, but there were other things that I really enjoyed about this particular game. But for me, the inclusion, like, I know there's an argument to say that a game like this, where you're dealing with dragons and demons and gold and that kind of stuff, we don't really want all the social culture stuff that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. However, what I will say is, as a black guy and as a gay guy, like, I feel it's really awesome that you can be in a game. I mean, granted, like, my character was a female character who had a heterosexual relationship, but it quite easily could have been, I could have made myself, do you know what I mean, my own image, and potentially had that with another dude, do you know what I mean, like, and that would have been cool. It's the fact that there's options to do that, do you know what I mean, and I think that right there is, I don't know, I just think that's really awesome to be able to see yourself in those kind of games and stuff. I think what kind of made it a little bit like, oh, they're doing this, is the fact that I guess they called it non-binary. Because obviously I guess that's what it is. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, call it what it is. But I suppose because you're in this ye olde world, which you don't feel as though, you don't feel like you're in 2025. Do you know what I mean? You don't feel like there's like a mobile phone or, you know, cryptocurrency, or, you know, there's nothing modern about it. Whereas non-binary is, I feel, is a very like 2025. Well, it's a more recent term than where you are when you're, you know, making, you know, onion soup on a outside pot and there's a dragon flying overhead. So I do wonder whether or not maybe, like, if they'd intimated what those feelings were, as opposed to calling it non-binary, then would that have thrown so much like discourse about it? Because ultimately, as you can have man on man relationships, you can have women on women relationships, you can have obviously heterosexual ones, and I don't think many people have complained about that, like, at all. So, you know, the kind of backlash, and I know there was a scene where one of the characters had misused the incorrect pronouns for Tosh.
She's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties. I was so proud.
Oh,
They're still holding it. Sorry.
They ended up having to do like these, well, I say having to, they opted to do these sit-ups and stuff because, like, oh, I feel really bad that I mispronounced you. So, you know, this is all about learning and stuff. And I guess some people are saying, like, you know, I feel like I'm being like preached at Do you know what I mean? About something that I didn't come here to. I didn't come here for that. And I suppose, you know, I don't know. I mean, me personally, I didn't feel no way about it because I go, okay, cool. Because again, like there are people probably playing this game that are non-binary. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, you know, and it's such a small part of the game as well. Like it's so small that I was just like, it's really minor. But I know that Tosh has this whole character identity or gender identity problem throughout the whole, pretty much throughout the entirety of the game. So I suppose in that sense, it is a big part of the game. But I liked it, as I said. To me, it was nice to see lots of other people and lots of orientations and ethnicities, and yeah, there was a lot of inclusion in the game. So yeah, I love that. Number 6, the decision making. So I touched on it earlier, like in terms of the gameplay, but I think the fact that there are certain decisions that do have impacts on the game, I really like that, because sometimes in these games it is just a case of you're just saying whatever and it makes no impact, but there are certain decisions that you make throughout the game that will impact it long term. As I said, whether someone survives, whether which way they're going to go in terms of how they're going to handle a situation, so who's going to be the person that ends up running a certain thing, or you know, which is going to be the best way to go on a certain thing. Like that's a decision that you can make and will impact them what then happens later on. And they always link it back to, oh, because you said, but because you did. And I was like, I just think that's really cool, because again, there's a good bit of consistency throughout that. Number 5, I guess it's kind of linked to that, but it's continuation, because or it's continuity, because I've obviously played every Dragon Age, and my character has been able, and I guess what's happened in the previous one has kind of been able to link through from the last game, and that's the same in this one. But in this one, not only because in previous games it's kind of like mentioned about what happened previously, and therefore I think you've had like previous like loot and stuff from the previous game, whereas in this one, not only is the Inquisitor mentioned, but the actual character is in the game. So who you create, because I couldn't get over that, like the name of the Inquisitor, what they look like literally, like, but just in a new age model, like for a 2024 model, that is my character. That's the character I made, and that just blew my mind. I just thought it was so cool, and it was such a nice touch to have them as part of the ongoing story and stuff. I just love that. So that was a nice little touch as well. And number 4 was the graphics. I think it is such a beautiful looking game. Like just from the because I don't usually take many photos like when I'm on my PlayStation. Like I like screenshots and stuff. I just play the game, but there's so many that I couldn't help but take screenshots of. I'm like, that just looked gorgeous. Like how the lights refracting off the water, the armor that you're wearing, or the head, or the head armor, the helmet. To call it, is it helmet that you're wearing, or the staff or whatever, and how you all sat with the rest of your team, like how you go, how the mechanics of how you're actually like just maneuvering the landscape and stuff. Like it just looked gorgeous. Like there wasn't a time I didn't look at it and think, wow, it just looks great. Like all of it looks great all the time. So yeah, I love the graphics. Number 3 was the loot and the design. So there was so much loot. There was so much stuff to collect. There's so many different options of what to wear and how to wear and how they impact the game in terms of what attributes they have. But what I really liked about this is that, like, because in previous ones, you've had the armor, but you've not necessarily had the option just to wear what it looks like as opposed to what the attributes are. Whereas in this one, you were able to basically have whatever armor is going to give you the best like stats and stuff, but then the skin that you wore could be anything. Like, so throughout the majority of the game, like I was constantly obviously getting the best armor and best tools and best armor and best weapons and stuff, and obviously just kept kind of upgrading those where I could. But the look of them, I was able to swap and change. Like 1 minute I'm wearing like a crow's outfit, next minute I'm wearing some little skimpy something with the laws of fortune, gold and the blue. Next minute I'm in some big old armor, exoskeletal thing, whatever, with different hats or different. Like it was just really cool to be able to customize it as much as I wanted to, because there were just so many options to do that. So I thought that was really cool. Number 2 this is kind of linked to the gameplay, but it's actually the story. I thought the story was really good. I mean, there's so much lore to Dragon Age that I don't know about, because I'm guessing, you know, there's a lot of people that know a lot more about the game than I do. But just from playing the game and obviously reading, because it's not everything that you read, but there's quite a few of the codexes that I read, and little inserts of this book and that book, and you know, Andraste that, and people that came before them, and like there's such a world, it's a vast world when it comes to Antiva, and it's just a really rich kind of universe. And I love the fact that, like, with this being, you know, the fifth or fourth iteration of the series, they've got that build up of, you know, the mages and the chancery, the grey wardens, how they all fit together, blood magic, all these different counter interests and stuff, and how they all fit together, or how they don't fit together, like, and how they be quite dysfunctional, and how people are constantly trying to, like, barter for control, and how they go about doing that, and the fact that they were able to bring a story together that still had Solus in it, particularly from the last one, because of what he did in the last one, to bring him back, and like the whole elven history and cover up and stuff. I just thought that was awesome. I just thought it was a really awesome way to bring that story in, and to see what they're gonna do to save the day. I mean, it is your typical good versus evil kind of thing, but how they went about it, I thought was really, really clever, and how all, you know, the different areas and the different cultures in the game, and how that was represented by things like language and their manner and stuff. I just thought it was really great. And then the thing that put this at number 2 for me is, and maybe I'm just a bit slow, the twist at the end when it comes to Varric. I did not see that coming at all, and maybe someone else did. Maybe someone was just like, well, because all I kept thinking was, this guy has been laid up in bed this entire time. Like, what is actually wrong with him? But maybe he's just retired himself. Maybe whatever the Dreadwolf did to him was so intense that for the duration of this game, his only role is to serve as advisory. So when it got to the last stage, and she was, because it still didn't really clock to me when she was looking at, like, these stone versions of, like, Balara and Harding, and then Varric, and I was like, what? Why is it into Varric? It's only when she was going through and talking to herself about, because you've been dead the whole time, I was like, I beg your pardon.
I see dead people. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
So yeah, I loved that. That's why it's number 2. And then number 1 for me, again, it's kind of linked to the inclusion part, but it's just the level of customization. I was so impressed by like, I think I spent that much time, like, customizing, like, Rook. And I always knew, because I mean, I do love a mage, and I'm always gonna probably opt to make it a female mage. But just from the hairstyles alone, like, there were so many hairstyles that you could opt to use. But, and again, from a black perspective, like, you don't often get those many hairstyles that would cater for the type of hair that you might have, or the type of hair that's in your, you know, like, your culture. Do you know what I mean? And I saw many a style that I was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. Like, I honestly, the customization I thought was brilliant. And, you know, again, any hue, any race, any tone, you know, whatever size you want to make, it's just so customizable. So it just really felt like my journey. Like, I felt like I'd created this character, and I did it whatever way I wanted to do it. Obviously followed a main path, but it was how I wanted to do it, which side quests I wanted to do, which team members I wanted to spend more time with and have on my team more, and, you know, like, it was just how I wanted it. So yeah, man, as games go, like, and again, I don't get to play it as often because I'm constantly constantly recording, or working or whatever. I just felt like it was really like good time spent. Now I appreciate that this may not be everyone else's experience at all, but I'm just explaining what mine is, and I just want to get it out there because I'm conscious, like I said, there's probably a lot of people that have hating on the game, and for me personally, I don't really get all the hate. Like I finished that game and I was like, I feel really satisfied. Like I felt very satisfied, and I very much I mean, I don't know whether, having played it as much as I've played it and pretty much every single side quest and stuff, I don't know whether I'm in a rush to play it again, unless I do a completely different style. But I'm always a mage, so I think it's always going to be very similar. I've never really been interested in being a scout, and a warrior. I think mage is much more interesting, man. I think there's more to go at. So look, based on what I've just read there about the future of the franchise and the future of the developer that made it, if this is the last one that they're gonna make, or that they get to make, personally, I think it is such a head nod to the games previously, and a development of, like I said, the graphics, the gameplay, like the. To me, it just felt like a really cohesive, smooth ride that I really enjoyed. I do understand where some of the critique has come from, but I don't think that's enough to railroad it as a flop, like at all. Like I find that such a stretch. But I'm only one voice, so yeah, that's my opinion. I think it was great, and I definitely hope that it isn't the last that BioWare make, and then it isn't the end of Dragon Age. I'd be really good if it is. But and also as well, an honorable mention: the artwork. Like, oh my gosh, like the artwork, especially like in the cut scenes and stuff, even like the logo. Like I was looking at the logo properly today, bearing in mind I spent like 197 hours on this game. Like, I'm looking at like the logo properly. I'm just looking at all the different bits of detail, faces of all of them, and the brush marks of the dragon wings and stuff, and like all the different characters they've got in that whole kind of opening logo. And then looking at like at the end of the game, again, all the different like slides of because it's a different type of art, isn't it, in comparison to the actual gameplay. It's very noticeable, and it's just very, I don't know. I don't know what that style would be called, but I just think it's very striking, and it's the kind of stuff that, again, I had to take pictures of because I'm like, it just looks so good. I can't speak highly enough for the game personally. If I had to give it a score, I would probably give it a 8.5 out of 10 for me. Like as I said, this is my type of game though. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I can indulge in this and just crack on with my day-to-day life. I guess for other people maybe there's more they needed to see, but I thought it was great. I really did. So anyway, I'd love to know what you guys thought of this. Like, do you think I'm talking at my rear end, or do you get it and you're like, actually no, I did enjoy it as well. If you did enjoy it, what was your favorite thing about it, or like what were your top things? The same as me, or different list, or yeah, let me know in the comments below. I'd be very interested to see what y'all got to say. But yeah, for now, thank you so much for watching with me. If you did enjoy this, then please do drop me a like and subscribe. That'd be amazing. Thank you very much. And if you do want access to my reactions before they come to YouTube, then please head over to my Patreon, which is a great way to help support the channel, and it's a great way to connect with me more as well. So yeah, for now, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.